Okay, let me introduce myself once again. I'm Jyoti Sharma and I'm doing TAship of Dr. Ankur Awadhya. And today is week 9 and we will explore one another topic. The topic is human population and conservation. So, uh, m- my presentation is visible to you all.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have three topics today within this human population and conservation. So, in the first topic, we will try to discuss how this environment and human growth or the human world is very related, like how they are interconnected to each other. Then we will try to explore whatever the theory we have about the human population growth rate and the criticism behind it, even the favorable points that we have. Then we will talk about the sustainable development. So let's start with the first one, population and population growth, part one. So uh, we are talking about here the human geography. Human geography is nothing but we are interconnecting the geography with the human. Means geography means this is the like we are studying the earth, right? And if we are studying the earth and we are connecting this with the human, why humans are there? If suppose if we have like Delhi or Mumbai, then why there is a why these are the most populated areas. So this type of geography we will cover under this human geography. So the definition says the discipline of geography that studies the relationship between the physical and the human world. So we have two words. The one is physical, just like we have the plain area, we have the rocks, we have rivers. So these kind of things come under the physical world. And then we have the human world. So whenever there is a relationship between them, then this type of geography we will study under this human geography. For example, can you give me one example how human are being affected by the physical world? Danish?
Because of climate,
Yes.
there are many examples such as climate change, natural disasters, diseases, epidemics.
Yes, and I'm talking about the survival of the population and the physical things. For example, you people know because you people know about the history. So, whenever there is a civilization, civilization happened near to the rivers. Yes, is it right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So it means that physical thing is deciding the human world, where this human world will establish. Okay. And in the vice versa case, we can also say that human world can also affect this physical world. For example, if this ocean acidification is being going on, if there is a thermal circulation, thermohaline circulation changing, then the glacier melting. So everything is being happening by the anthropogenic influences. Okay, so human geography is nothing but the interrelationship between that, between this physical and as well as the human world. Then so this is the relationship we have already know about it. Then there is the spatial distribution of human phenomena. As we already know that if there is a plain area, then there will be this area will be highly populated. Okay, so we will talk about how the spatial distribution of human being, even because here we have the human phenomena. So here human phenomena doesn't mean the population density. It also means the sex ratio. It also means the like fertility rate. So how these factors or how these parameters are changing with the space or changing with the physical world. So we will try to understand as well in the next slides. Then there is a reason why there is high GDP in the North America or not in the India. So it is a geographical kind of thing. So we will also try to understand this. Then the socio-economic differences, just like a GDP or the educational qualification or the education rate. So we will try to understand everything in this week. So let's see. Here we have human world, we also have the physical world. So in the physical world we have climatology, we have geomorphology, we have geodesy, hydrology. So when there is a interaction between the human world, and human world means there is a rural area, there is a population, there is a density, there is a growth. So when these two things are interconnected, that makes the subject, that is the human geography. We also see that human geography, if we are like, we have the urban geography, physical geography, human environmental relations, cultural geography. So these are the subtypes of the human geography. Okay, so because we already know that there is a relationship between human and the environment. Okay, so there are three concepts that we have to consider in our mind. The first is environmental determinism. So what does this mean? Can Kuldeep explain, or you people know, doesn't know about
Yeah,
this?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, environmental determinism is concerned with the sovereignty of nature. Nature will determine everything. What human will, uh, how the human life will be affected by climate or the topography or anything that is natural. It
Yes.
affects human life.
Uh,
Life.
so, so you are wanted to say that physical world will dominate over the human world, right? And
Yes.
this physical world will decide the nature, the behavior of the human world. Whatever the adaptation human has to do, it will be based on the environmental factor, environmental structure, environment composition. So, is it the thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then this is environmental determinism. The second is possibilism. Danish, do you know what is possibilism?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, what it is?
Ma'am, as Kuldeep said about the environmental determinism, that the environment dominate the human world, that the physical environment dominates the human environment. But in
Yes,
possibilism, this thing is opposite. In possibilism, it is stated that humans are the active agent while the environment or the nature is playing a passive agent. Means human with their technology, with their advancement, with their knowledge can like dominate the in like nature. For example, with technology, humans can cultivate crops even in the tundra region, but it will cost very high. So I think possibilism uh, is a concept which basically came up in the after the Second World War.
yes, yes. Note,
So
even
this
even
is a
even before, when we start with the fire and the advancement of the agriculture, it started then,
okay.
because
I read somewhere like it is started after like it like
the
started after the
the,
Second World War.
the pace of possibilism has been started,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, but it has been started even very earlier, when we started to play with the fire, to
Hmm.
like, for the we use the agriculture, we then did this animal rearing. So this type of concept, because we were trying to control the environment at that time. So whenever
Yeah.
we are trying to control the environment, means we are the dominating factor, and the environment is very recessive, right? So
Uh,
exactly, Danish, this is the possibilism. Then
uh,
if we mix this environmental determinism and the possibilism, then it will be the neo-determinism. Means there is a certain limit by which we can regulate our environment, but after that limit we can't. Okay, so based on some set limit, we can change the environment according to us. So this is the neo-determinism, and it is also known as stop and go determinism. And this concept, you also know that the concept of naturalization of humans, this is the kind of environmental determinism, and the humanization of nature, as you people told, this is the possibilism. Okay, so because human geography is all about the human words or the human phenomena, and the relation with the physical world. Okay, so if there is a human phenomena, then we must know something about humans or something about the human population. So there are some parameters. The first is population density, then population growth rate, age structure, sex ratio, median age, and many more. But we will discuss right now in this session only these five. And then we have socio-economic factors such as GDP per capita, the literacy rate, job opportunities. So basically we have to know something about the human behavior and even about the human population structure. So let's know about it one by one. Okay, so we have population density, and one geographer told that many places where humans are few, and there are very few places where humans are many. So can anyone explain it with the concept of push and pull factor? Danish, Kuldeep, someone? Can anyone relate it with the push and pull factor? This line.
Um, Ma'am,
Yes.
population density, like uh, I, in previous classes, you told about the push and pull factor. Like
Yes.
some factors are there which are pushing a population from to perceive migration and accumulate in a say particular place. These factors can be of poor infrastructure, education in terms of education, in terms of employment opportunities, and there are also pull factors which are pulling population towards a certain place, uh, like the opportunities they are getting in the, for suppose, in the urban areas. So I
Yes.
think this is the push and pull factor.
Yes, so if we are talking about the rural and the urban areas, then we can say that no one goes to that rural area, but everyone goes to the urban area. Why it is that? Because there is some pull factor towards the cities. Okay, and there is some push factor towards the village or the rural areas. So that's why this line, many places are there where their people are few, and few places are there where the people are many. So this can be related to the push and pull factor as well. And because there are some climatic extremes conditions are there, based on that there are a very much advantage, sorry, a big pull factor is here when there is a climatic extreme conditions. So in such cases there are very few places where people are many. Okay, then we can define population density as the population or the number of people by the area. And the area, so what will be the unit of population density, Kuldeep? Okay, it's all right. So the unit of population density will be the number of people per kilometer square, or this area can be even in the meter square as well. So the unit will be people per meter, people kilometer square. Okay, so the human population density is approximately 462 people per kilometer square, but this is very heterogeneous in nature. So why this is heterogeneous in nature? Because there are some urban area, there are some rural area. Urban areas have some pull factor, and the village area have some the pull factor. So based on that, there is high density in the metropolitan city and the low density in the rural area. So this is the one case. The second case can be if there is a plain area, then it will be the high populated, or the density of that area will be higher. So can you people tell me, like, which city or which state has the highest population density? Can you guess, Danish?
Ma'am, I know the state that is Bihar. The population density is 1102 per square kilometer.
But I think Kuldeep answer is right. It's UP.
Ma'am, I read some, it's Bihar, followed by Bengal, and UP is on fourth uh, place.
Okay. And which city have the highest population density?
Mumbai.
Mumbai, exact. So let's see this map. So I think, yeah. So we have India population density map here. Is it visible to you people? I think you people are
Yes,
like
ma'am.
taking the class in the mobile phone or something so that you can zoom. Okay, so here we can see that yes, there is a northern plains where there is a high density. Then in this northeast region, we have very low population density. Even this mountainous region, here we have Thar desert and the Rajasthan. There also we have the lowest population density. So we are trying to relate this population with the spatial things. Okay, spatial means where, why the population density is there. Okay, Danish. Okay, I accept that it's Bihar according to map, but I also somewhere read that it's the UP. But yes, there may be some conflict being this Google search. Anyway, then can you see that we have the Lakshadweep, and Lakshadweep also have some like highly populated area. Why it is? Why this is? Can you guess?
Because Lakshadweep is in a cluster of islands, and all the islands are not habitable for the people. So the population is only restricted to some islands.
Yes, exactly. This is the reason. So this is the human population density map. Okay, so we already have discussed about how this density of the population has been influenced by different type of factors. So these factors can be divided among the geographical factor, the economic factor, and the social, cultural, religious, and the political factors. So if we talk about the geographical factor, as we already told, that the civilization started with the area wherever there is the availability of the water. So wherever there will be the water, there will be the human population, or human will be highly populated. The density will be highly populated. Then we have the landforms, such that in the mountainous region we have very low density, but in the plain area we have the higher density. If we talk about the climate, whenever there is a favorable climatic condition, uh, can you give me some example where there is a very favorable climatic condition, and the density of population is also dependent upon that climatic favorability?
Then let's see the example of coastal towns
Yes,
where the climates are moderate, like Chennai, Mumbai, and
yes,
Kolkata,
yes, exactly.
because they have moderate climate, neither too harsh summer or nor too extreme winters,
And why it is? Why it is?
because of the land and sea breeze.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Then we have the soil as well. Wherever there is a fertile soil, there will be the high density of the population, and whenever there is an infertile soil, then obviously there may be the low density. But because of some human economic factor, these area may also have the high density. So, for example, if there is a like in Telangana, the this Amravati region, this is very infertile region, but because of industrialization, because of the economic factor, these area also has become the highly populated areas. So next we have the economic factor, the presence of minerals. As you people told me that yes, Bihar has the high density of population, then and the main region here is the presence of mineral as well. So one of the important region is the presence of mineral. Okay, so there are so many mines, and based on the job opportunities, the population is very high in that area. Then the level of urbanization, we also know that, because whenever there is urbanization will give the peoples the job opportunity and so many facilities. So based on that, these region will be the highly populated region, and the level of industrializations same as the urbanization. Then we have the social, cultural, religious, and the political factor, in which there is a one example that if some government is giving the initiative to stay or to live at a particular place, and if the government is giving some kind of subsidy to inhabit that place, then obviously people will go to get the benefit of such kind of government initiatives. Even the cultural, based on some cultural factors, some religious factors, some region may be highly populated. So these are the factors that can influence the density of the population. This we already have discussed. Then we have the population growth rate. So because we want to know that how much climate, how much environment will be affected by the population, and this will be based on how population is growing, what's the population growth rate. So can anyone define what this population growth rate? Danish, can you try?
Ma'am, I exactly don't know about it. So I can say the
Mhm.
pace which the population is growing day by day.
Yes, exactly. And okay, so whenever we want to tell about the population growth, we have to two things, like the population in the initial stage and population after some time. Exactly. So for the population growth, we must have the data of the number of people, let's say in the 10 years ago and right now. Okay, so and whenever we are deriving the growth rate, then we will divide it by the initial population into 100. So this will be the population growth rate. So population growth is population at the time 2 and minus population at the time 1. So initial final population minus the initial population, it will give you the population growth. And whenever you are talking about the population growth rate, then it will be basically divided, this population growth will be divided by the initial population. And if you want these values in the percentage, then you have to multiply it with the 100. Then we have two type of population. The one is two type of population growth. The one is natural and one is intrinsic or the actual. Okay, so what do you mean by natural population growth, and the one is actual population growth? So what's the difference between it? Danish, can you guess something?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so there are two type of population growth. The one is natural and second is actual. So in the natural, we just minus the death rate or the death value from the birth values. Okay, so this is the natural. Then the actual growth will be birth minus death plus in migration how many peoples are coming into that area, and minus how many peoples are migrating from that area. So this will be the actual growth of the population. Because if we take the example of Delhi, a very few people born in Delhi, but because of the urbanization, because of job opportunity, many people come in that area and increase the population growth rate. Okay, so we have to consider how many people are being migrated in that area or how many people are going from that area. So this is about the actual growth of the population. Then we also can see here the absolute increase in population, global population per year. Then here we can see there is increasing trend. and it is being projected that after some time there will be a decreasing trend. The population growth will be in negative after some period of years. Okay, so this I took from this population change agency. Then we also have, can you see here, we have the India and the China's growth. So we can see that China already have started to decrease the population growth rate, but India still have the high population growth rate as comparison to the China. Then we have the sex ratio. So we can define the sex ratio by the number of female per thousand of male. Okay, so this is the sex ratio, and this is the indicator of socioeconomic status of woman, as well as socioeconomic status of the country as well, and the gender discrimination in the society. So Danish, can you guess the highest sex ratio in India in which state?
Kerala,
And lowest?
Haryana.
Yes. And can you tell me the number?
Ma'am, as I have read, the highest in Kerala, the sex ratio is 1000 and something 89 females per thousand.
Yes, yes, exactly. And yes,
In Haryana, it is around 987 or something.
987. Oh, you are talking about the India section. It's above 900, but if we talk about the Haryana section, so it's around 850
Oh,
per
I'm not
thousand.
confirm about these figures because I read it very like early times.
Okay, so if we are talking about the sex ratio of the India's, it's above the 900, but in Kerala it above the 1000, but for the Haryana it's above the 800, but below the 900. So, and can you, because this is kind of the literature discussion, so can you tell me like how this sex ratio can affect the GDP of any country or the nation?
Ma'am, first one, like equal opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
uh, something equal opportunity should be given to male and female. If both are working, so there will be more development and more generation of income, hence increasing in the GDP of particular country or state.
Exactly. So, means you are saying that because when both the partner will work, the GDP will automatically grow, right? So, yes. Uh, then here we have the sex ratio by country for the population below age 15. So whenever there is a blue color, it means there are more boys, and whenever there is a red color, then it means there are more girls. Okay, so here we can see that India we have more boys. In China and in some part of Russia, we have more boys, right? And here in the African region, here in the America region, so there are more girls. Okay, so and yes, we can relate this sex ratio with the GDP, even the literacy rate, and even the fertility rate, with the sex ratio over these continents. Okay, then this is another one. This is based on the total population sex ratio. It was just before was just below age 15. So this is for the total population, and we can also here see that there are more man or boy in our India or in the China region or in the, let's say, in the Asia region, but in the European region and the American region there are more women and girls. Okay, if we talk about the sex ratio in India, then we can yes see that in Haryana there is a low sex ratio, but in Kerala we have the high sex ratio. And This is the question of geography as well. Why we have the southern states, and in the southern state of our India, we have higher sex ratio, but in the northern plains, we have uh, low sex ratio. Why it is, Danish?
Ma'am, there are certain factors. Some are cultural, some are religious, some are educational. First one, mostly the literacy rate of southern India is more as compared to northern India. So as people get educated, they are not biased between the genders.
Yeah.
So they are not like uh, doing female feticide or something like that, or something which can say is cultural, that in southern India females are treated as goddesses. So I think these are, I know these two reasons, but there are many reasons as well.
Yes, and exactly. So there are some cultural and some traditional regions as well behind it, such that dowry system in UP, in Haryana, we have a dowry system in such a way that, like, it is saying that yes, if you are a girl, then you have to go somewhere, and we have to spend so much money on you on your marriage. Okay, so this kind of traditional, this kind of culture is being spreading in this northern plains. So because of also that, we have the sex ratio that is very less in the northern area, but in the southern we have the high sex ratio. Okay, now let's talk about the age structure. So we can define the age structure. It is a distribution of people among various age. Yes, Kuldeep, the trend is decreasing, but still there are so many factors based on that. Still, if you in the in northern state, if the first child is female, then they also try to get the male child in the second pregnancy. So this is also the case I always saw. So yes, we can say that the trend is decreasing, but the pace is very slow. Yes, Danish.
Uh, Ma'am, one historical reason come up in my mind. In northern India, the practice of sati was very prevalent from the ancient ages. So from the beginning, the
Mhm.
females, the population of female was very low as compared to southern India because of the practice of sati. This is the reason why in North India the sex ratio is like low.
Yes, this can be one reason, and I also know one another reason, that if there is a boy in the family, that will be the main leader to lead your generation ahead. The one reason is this. The second reason is because after marriage, the girl have to go in the next home. So based on that, parents think that a boy only can care at their elder age. So yes, so based on that, they also want a boy. If there is a girl, then they also try to get the boy in the next pregnancy as well. So there are so many reasons about this. If we go to the northeast region, then you will see that all the market will be dominated by the girls only. Whatever they are doing, like they are selling the fishes. So these kind of work, even at the shops, there will be girls only, and there are also some like state in which a boy has to come to the next home, not the girl. So like there are so many reasons, and this is very complicated to decide like what is the factor that is leading to the lower or the higher sex ratio, but these are the possible reasons. Okay, so we are talking about the age structure. So we have four type of age structure, or the four type of we have distributions. So first, there will be a difference between the birth rate and the death rate. If there is a higher birth rate and the higher death rate as well, so you will see the stage one, that's the expanding. Okay, so more number of people are born and more number of people are dying. So this will be the first stage, that the expanding. uh, then at the second stage, we will have the high birth rate but fall in the death rate. So how this can be happen? What's the condition, Danish?
Uh, in which one? Second phase.
Yes. So why there is a high birth rate but low death rate?
Because
Yeah.
in the development in the medical facilities.
Yes, exactly. So because of some advancement in the medical facility, advancement or improvement in the sanitation, it is being happening that the birth rate is higher, but now very few people are dying. So this is the second stage. Then the third stage is that we have the equal number of birth rate and the death rate. So this will be the kind of the stationary condition. And the fourth condition we have, if we have the low birth rate, low death rate, but here we can see that because birth rate has been decreased exponentially, so based on that the high dependency ratio will be there. So and there will be also the longer expectancy. We will talk about the life expectancy as well. So we have four kind of structures in the age structure. Okay, if we take the example of Europe, Northern America, then Latin America, so we can see the different kind of structures we already have read in the previous slides. So how these structures can be formed with and this can be vary with different continents or the world part. So let's take the example of Europe. In Europe, how it is. So here it is kind of like the stationary, the birth rate and the death rate are equal. But here, if we see the Asia, we have high birth rate, okay, and even the high death rate as well. And in this Africa countries, the birth rate is even more than the Asia countries. So why this is important? Why we are studying the population pyramids? So what's the importance? Yes, Kuldeep.
Ma'am, there are so many things that are associated with population. I mean, population directly affects the environment. Like everything is affected. Such, for example, we have resources, water resources, natural resources, forest, land use, and agriculture, wildlife. All the things are associated with the population. If the population is keep increasing, then it will not be good for nature. It will
Yes,
have some negative impacts like greenhouse gas release. There will be more consumption of light, electricity, and there will be wastage of water. Like we need water.
yes,
Also, yeah,
ex-
there are so many things.
yes, exactly, Kuldeep. But the question was the why we are studying like the population pyramid, the age structure. Why we are studying like that? Ki, yes, Danish. I think you are with us.
Ma'am, we are studying the age structure because we can basically we can channelize the workforce to become an asset for the particular development.
Okay.
This is the particular answer.
Yes, exactly. So we are studying this age structure because we like government have some kind of initiative, government some kind of program. So these programs can be organized in such a way that on this based of the age structure. For example, if here we can say if we have like very higher dependency ratio. Higher dependency ratio means there is a very low birth rate uh, but the life expectancy is higher, means people are living longer but because they are getting older. So here the economy will be just like that. There are not too much youth population, but there is the older population. So so the government has to take care of this kind of situation. Government has to create some type of policy in such a way that these older people can be taken care of. Okay, so so basically, and the one factor is this. The second is, country has to estimate like how many people are there that can that are very active to work. Okay, so because they have to create some job opportunity, and if there is a like higher youthful population, then government has to create the higher number of vacancies as well. But if there is a like very low birth rate and there is a no youthful population, then government has to think in a different direction. So we have to like every country has to decide, has to estimate even like at what age how many people are there, and have to project in the near future what will be the scenario, and based on that they can form some kind of the policy. So that's why the age structure is very important for us to study. Okay, then we have the life expectancy. This is refers to the number of year a person can expect to live. So what's the life expectancy of India, if you people know?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
74.
74 it is. And the world?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, even I don't know the life expectancy of the bird, but yes, you are right. It is very near to 60. Uh, okay, then we have, so here we can see in India, what's the age? No, what's the life expectancy? Can you see from that figure?
Ma'am, between
67.5.
67.5 to 70.
Okay, and can you see in the Africa there is a very low life expectancy? Why it is?
Ma'am, because lack of infrastructure, medical facilities, and
Can
like,
you can you also say that because it is the tropical region and because there is a so much forest and government is denying to cut that forest, and based on that there is like no infrastructure, there is a no industrialization. So because of also that there is a low expectancy, is it?
yeah, ma'am, that's really a
So
great example.
can you also say that if we have the forest, because uh, these region have very highest tropical forest, so if it is the case, then it means that if we have the forest area, then people will have the low facilities. It is a very contradicting situation or the statement. Why it is?
Ma'am, Africa, actually, uh, geomorphology, the relief is very uneven. That's why it is really hard to develop some transportation there. So, transportation is one of the biggest reason for the development.
Transportation is reason I know about it, but the main reason about the underdevelopment of these regions are that because they are giving the oxygen. No doubt they are giving the oxygen because these portion have the largest chunk of like forest area, but because of that forest they are not getting the uh, money values, because of that forest they can't build the industries there. Because of that they as you told that there can't be the very much good infrastructure in that area. So there must be some agencies that should be very fair to decide what kind of incentives should be given to this kind of countries. Yes, Kuldeep.
Ma'am,
Yes.
it is applicable for only those countries that are near equator, like Democratic Republic of Congo and
Yes.
nearby some countries. Like we also have Brazil, but the life expectancy is like 72 plus, and we also have Indonesia, Philippines, and here we have also 70 around life expectancy. Here are also dense forests.
Yes, so there may be more than one reason. The first is because of the protection or the conservation of forest. The government can't do many things. The first reason is that. The second reason can be like because you know that only some year ago these areas got the independency from the Africa, sorry, America. So this may be one condition because of the colonial era that was up to now. There is a low expectancy. Yes, Danish.
Ma'am, since these countries got independence recent, but still the colonizers are exploiting these countries by like still they are exploiting the resources of these countries by using bilateral, multilateral trading and by providing some incentives. So that is why the infrastructure of these specific geographic locations are very low.
Yes, exactly. And yes, you are right about it. Okay, so this was all about the life expectancy.
Then there are geopolitical reasons as well.
What, Danish?
Ma'am, there are more geopolitical reasons as well leading to these factors.
Yes, exactly. Uh, okay, Kuldeep, what's your question?
Nothing, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Then let's talk about the median age. So, what do you mean by median age? Kuldeep, Danish, can anyone explain? Median. Median, just the
Ma'am,
statistic.
average. Average is.
No, not average. Median age.
The age will
There is.
divide total population into two parts.
Yes, exactly. So, in school time, you read this mean, median, and mode. So, what was the median? Like, this is the value. In the left hand side, there will be the 50% of population, and at the right side, there will be the 50% of the population. So, let's say if we have the median age 50 years, so or let's say if we have the median age 23. So, if it is a 23, means 50% of population is below 23 and 50% of population above this 23 age. Okay, so this is the median age. So the age that divide the population in two part of equal size, that is there are as many person with age above the median as there are with age below the median. And why we are studying the median age? Because we want to know like what how many population or what's the number of population that are under in that age. So based on that we can like explore, we can exploit these kind of the exploit the work they can do. Okay, so can you see what's the median age of India?
25 to 30.
Uh, yes, 25 to 30. It means that more population are below the 30 age. And because of that, we can say that the India has the population that is very youthful. Okay. And what's the advantage of being youthful population?
Ma'am, can be used to capitalize all the resources, human resources.
Yes, exactly. This is the one main reason that we can capitalize the human resources. The second is that there was one article based on the median age and the COVID that happened 2 years ago. So because the India had very the youthful population, the immunity of the youthful population is higher as comparison to the older population, and that way the number of death that is happening as comparison to the European country, it was very less. In the European country, if you know that there is no youthful population, there are more older people in that areas because they have controlled the fertility rate in that areas. Okay, so this may be one reason that because of immunity, because of being the youthful population, India had the very low death rate as comparison to the European countries. Okay. Then we have the literacy rate. Uh, okay. So the global literacy rate for all people aged 15 or above is 86.3. And what's about the India? What's the literacy rate of India?
74%.
74, or sometimes it is written 77.
Like
Okay.
74, 77, something.
Yes, and in India, like there are very different kind of standards on which we decide whether the person is literate or not. Okay, so in India, what's the condition based on which we will decide whether the person is literate or not? So, Kuldeep, can you guess? A person, how can person be a literate?
Ma'am, if he knows how to write his name and he can read
Yes,
something.
exactly. If a person can read, also can write, then Indian government says that he or she is the literate one. Okay. Is it enough?
Ma'am, in any language, yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is a basic parameter for like determining the like literacy rate in India. But I don't think so. This literacy rate or the date of this literacy rate should be present somewhere else, because writing his name or reading in any particular language, that is its regional language, its regional dialect, can not represent it on an international level.
Yes, exactly. So are you saying that Danish one must also know the third language or the second language as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But if you know about the Japan or the China, they people use their like national language as their first language, and they people know very little about this English, and they are surviving, even they are flourishing very well. So this is kind of contradicting situation. This is
Ma'am, the reason is because from the beginning they are using their native languages in the official, unofficial, everywhere. Since in the UN also, but in the case of India, being a colonized of colony of Britain, has adopted the British system, that is English, and here the more focus is given on the English education. So I don't. So I think if India is adopting these things, so it can help in representing we can change the like policies like in Hindi or something like that. Since India is not having an official national language, we have 22 other official languages. But in China, Mandarin is the official language. In Japan, Japanese is a national language.
Yes, exactly. You are right. Because we are multilingual, or we have the multiple languages within this India. So obviously this should not be the parameter for this should not be the standard for being the literate. There must be many thing more for being the literate one. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have the literacy rate over the world. So can you see where India lies? Is it near to 75 to 100, or 70 to 75?
70 to
70 to
70.
75.
Yes. Okay. So if we talk about the state wise, then you people already know that which state has the highest literacy rate.
Kerala.
So can you correlate this with the sex ratio as well?
Pardon, ma'am.
Because Kerala also have the highest sex ratio. So can you correlate with the sex ratio with this literacy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Like there are like more educated people, so the myth is like removed about daughters.
yes, exactly. There are people. these people are highly educated, and because of this education, the whatever the superstition is, whatever the tradition is, this can be ignored. Yes, Kuldeep.
Ma'am, why Lakshadweep is enclosed?
Why Lakshadweep is
Enclosed.
uh, I'm not getting, like, you are saying that the literacy rate of this Lakshadweep is higher or something like that.
Ma'am, why Lakshadweep is encircled in this
Okay,
map?
because there are so many islands, so each island can't be depicted with the blue color, so they just circled around these islands and make a circular kind of thing to just highlight these type
Okay.
of islands. Yes. Okay. So the level of urbanization, so we can see that this is very tiny to see, but we can see that 20 to 40% of areas we have the urban area in within this India, because I can see the green color here and in the legends as well. Okay, and there are some spots where there is a metropolitan city or the city with a higher number of population. So we have so this is the one of the population parameter, that is the level of urbanization as well. Okay, so here we can see that, okay, it might be that you can't see. Okay, this is very small and you have to zoom in, but it's all right. It do not need to care about it much more. Then we have the Indias. So state wise, we have some state where there is a high number of population, that is in urban, and there are some region where there is a like less number. Then let's see here in the Mumbai, in the Maharashtra or in the Gujarat, we have the percentage of population that is in urban area is higher, even here. Why? Can you see that region in the Jammu and Kashmir? Why this is highly urbanized area? Is it because of tourism or something like that?
Yes, ma'am, tourism.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we people already have read about this population parameters, the density, the fertility rate, the age structure. So now we want to explore, or we want to project what will be the population growth rate in the future. Based on that, we can establish, or we can we can align our policy with that population growth rate. Okay, so there is one person, Thomas Robert Malthus. So he was the English economist, and he told about what would be the population growth rate. He told about it. He projected what will be the population in the next years. Okay, so he published one book, an essay on the principle of population. So even whenever we estimate or project our population growth rate, we have to keep in mind the Thomas Robert Malthus theory as well. So let's talk about what was the theory. Okay, so Malthusian growth model says that the population increases in the geometric progression. So here we can see it is the geometric progression. So what is the geometric progression? It is just like 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, or 8 to 16. Okay, so this is the geometrical progression. So he told that the population will increase in this geometrical progression. But if we have the food supply, that will increase only with the arithmetical progression, means there will be a very linear graph. Okay, so 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. So there will be one condition at which there will be the shortage of the food supply. Okay, so so at that point, he told, this point is known as the Malthusian a catastrophe. Okay, and then what will happen? How because there is a growing number of population, but the scarcity of the food. So how this population will manage to get the food to every person? So he told that obviously, because it is the geometrical progression, it is the arithmetic progression, so there will be the imbalance. Okay, and this imbalance can be corrected by two ways. The one is preventive checks, and the second is positive or the natural checks. So in the preventive checks, it is saying that if we control the population in any way, then we can like avoid such kind of conditions. And what were these preventive checks? These were the late marriage, chastity, moral restraints, etc. If you have the moral restraints, that you have to first be very stable in your life, you will have the job only when you will get married. So these type of moral restraints will be there in the preventive checks. But if we talk about the positive or natural checks, then there is the famine, epidemic, war. So means if you are not taking the preventive checks, then environment itself will create some kind of checks, or the nature will create some kind of checks. uh, these type of checks, such as the famine, you people know about the West Bengal famine. What is this? Mm, okay, so oh, I blocked. Okay, so there are some positive or natural checks, such as famine, epidemic, war, etc. So some of the scientists or some of the historians says that, and some of the economists also say that this COVID was just the positive or the natural checks to check the population growth of our continents. Yes, Danish.
Ma'am, I have a query like how late marriage chastity can like prevent the like imbalance between population and food supply.
Okay, this is just like because if someone gets married in 30 age or even 35 age, then the fertility of that person get reduced. Okay, and the hormonal level of that person also in such a balance that they are not that much hyper to intercourse or to get more child. So this is kind of the hormonal change, and even the fertility reduce in the fertility of a people. So based on that, this the delay in marriage can lead to the preventive checks.
So, ma'am, Malthus is suggesting to delay marriages.
Yes, yes. So if you delay the marriage, so that will be the preventive. Okay. Okay. So there were also some kind of criticism as well. Everywhere the Malthusian growth model was not applicable, because this was the time that time was very primitive in nature. So he told that in the 25 years the population will be doubled. Okay, but if there is some government policies, some government rules, regulation, laws based on that, just like the China. Okay, China is saying that there must be only one child. Okay, if this is the case, then how these population can be double in 25 years? Okay, so there are also another type of checks that Malthus didn't consider. Okay, so these were the criticism, like population growth is not as suggested, and the doubling rate is not 25 years, it can be exponentially. For example, in the Africa, the population growth rate is very high, so the population can be doubled less than 25 year itself. and we have the European countries or even in the America, so where there is a like doubling rate in, let's say, 100 of years. Okay, so population growth is not as that much suggested. It was no yes, Kuldeep.
Ma'am, I don't think that population will increase so much like they are uh, predicting. It
Yes,
will be
exactly.
stagnant now. I don't think like the population of our country India will be constant.
Yes,
It will it is not going to see any drastic change, any drastic jump like we saw in 1970s.
yes, it is being projecting that by 2050 we will have very stationary growth, and after that we may have the negative growth rate as well. So because of the literacy rate, because of the sex ratio, because of the educational level, these population growth will not go exponentially or geometric in progression, but will be either stagnant or will decrease definitely. Okay, so but a Malthusian growth model says that population growth is in the geometric progression. So it is not feasible for every country. Okay, so this was the one criticism. The second was population growth is not as suggested. As you saw that in, I think it was the Indira Gandhi era in which the Green Revolution came. And what was that year in which Green Revolution came? Can you people know?
1966.
1966. Okay, so it was the era in which the MS Swaminathan, agriculturalist, he told that we can increase our production very fast. Okay, and with the use of the fertilizers and some kind of techniques, and because of that, we were in the deficit of the food. But after that year or after that Green Revolution, we had the surplus of the food supply. So Malthusian didn't consider that there may be some scientific advancement, the technological advancement, or like, such like the fertilization or the fertility of the soil can be increased by another methods. So uh, so the agricultural growth is not as suggested. It can be increased exponentially, it can be increased in the geometric progression, but yes, it may be possible that it is in the arithmetic, but it can vary place to place. Okay, then this theory didn't incorporate new land that become available. Okay, because of new land available, the food supply will increase, not in the arithmetic, but in the either exponential or the geometric or in some another progression. Okay, he just neglected the role of technology, and because he related this population growth rate to the food supply. But right now we are seeing that the total wealth or the GDP is deciding the population growth rate. If we have the high GDP growth rate, then we will have very low population growth rate. Okay, so right now it is not based on the food supply but on the total wealth. Then he didn't consider population increment due to the lowering of death rates as well. Okay, then preventive checks do not pertain only to the moral restraint, but the contraceptives has been very successful to check the population growth, being the preventive checks. Okay, then the positive check may also occur even the low populated countries. For example, because in the positive check he told about the famine, told about the war, but these kind of checks can also be happen in the in the area where there is no any type of imbalance. Okay, so these were some kind of criticism of this Malthusian growth model. Okay, so what type of growth model we have right now? So this was the Malthusian, okay, in which he told that change in the population per time will be R into N. R means the intrinsic growth rate or n is the n is the population, whatever the population we have. But after that, some economists saw the trend of the population growth and told that it's not the exponential, it's not the geometric, but it's the logistic growth. And in the logistic growth is dependent on the carrying capacity. So if there is a higher carrying capacity of a area, then the population will increase, the population growth rate will be increased. But if there is a region where there is a very less carrying capacity, the land can carry or hold the person in very less number, then this kind then there will be less population growth rate. Okay, so the advanced growth model is this logistic growth model. This is dn by dt is equal to r max. This k is the carrying capacity, so k minus m upon k into m. And here we can see it is forming the S-shaped curve. Okay, we will talk about it as well in the next slide. So what is S-shaped curve? So here we can see this is the early growth. The early growth is exponentially, then the growth will start to slow, then there will be the carrying capacity, and the birth rate and death rate will be equal, and there will be no more population growth. Okay, so this is kind of the this logistic growth we have right now. Then okay, so this kind of population growth rate or the growth model has been like came into picture. Then yes, we want to know the problem of static and the problem of dynamic. Like if there is a population density of above 400 per kilometer square in India, so why it is? So why there is that much population density only? Why there is not less than this 400 or more than this 500 or 600? So why this is? So this is kind of the problem of static. Okay, we will talk about it. Then there is a problem of dynamic as well. The population growth rate is being changing per year. So why this is happening? So the changing growth rate will be covered into this dynamic studies. So the population studies can be better understand if we consider the problem of static as well if we consider the problem of dynamics. Okay, so these static or dynamic problems are related to some extrinsic agents or the intrinsic agents. So in these agents, we have weather, predator, parasite, disease, food quality and quantity, and shelter. So these are basically for the wildlife. If we have wildlife, so how the population of that wildlife will be affected. So these are that factors. And if we are talking about intrinsic factor, then these are the physiology and the behavior. Then we have the demographic transitions. People already know about that. There will be initially there will be no growth, then the exponential, then there will be a carrying capacity will be equal, then there will be the slow growth, and then the decline. So we already have talked about this demographic transition. Okay, then the next is, because you people already told me that if there is a high density or we have high populated area, then it will affect negatively the environment. Okay, so if it is affecting the environment negatively, then this is like if we are increasing the GDP, but if we are not taking care of the environment, then this environment will give some kind of consequences, bad consequences back to us. So we have to consider the environment with the growth, with the development. Okay, so in 1983, this United Nations created WCED, that is the World Commission on Environment and Development, which is also known as Brundtland Commission. So this commission, in this commission, the definition of sustainable development was given. So the definition of sustainable development is this is the meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Okay, and this is not same as the economic growth. So can you people tell me, like, what's the difference between the growth and the development? Can any? Yes, Kaldev.
Ma'am, ma'am, growth can be both positively and negatively, and the
Okay.
development will be only positively. That can help us to maximize our potential.
Okay, and you have to incorporate the environment, the quality of life. Okay, so if you are incorporating the quality of life, then it's, and if you are improving the quality of life, then you will say that this is the development. And if you are increasing just a number, then it will be the growth. For example, if there is a child that is 2 years ago, and he's he's growing in the age. In the next year he is 3 years old, in the next year he will be the 4 year old, so the age is increasing. So, and you can also say that height is increasing, so such kind of thing is the growth. Okay, and if you talk about the development, so this will be kind of like the ability to speak, the ability to work, the ability to understand the numerical problems. Okay, so this will be and this will make the life of that person in a very comfortable. Okay, yes, the improvement in the quality of life will be known as the development. Okay, so the growth and development is very different in nature, and right now we are focusing on the development. Okay, because for example, if there is an industry is producing some product, and the GDP is very higher. Okay, but it may be the case that because of that industry, the air is being polluted, the contamination is there, and based on that we are getting so many disease in that areas. Okay, so the quality of life is being deteriorating. So this is just the economic growth, but not the development. Okay, so for the development we must have the holistic approach, in which we will have educational rate, the literacy rate, and many more things has to be considered within this development. Okay, so we already talked about it, that in 1983 we had this the definition of the sustainable development. Okay, in 1992 we had a Earth Summit that happened in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So in that conference, this is the conference is also known as the Earth Summit 1992. In that conference, we had three documents that has been published. The first document was the Rio Declaration, in which the principle to guide the countries for the future sustainable development has been written. Then we had the Agenda 21. This was very important, because this was regarding to the, like, what should be the action of the country regarding the sustainable development. Okay, so this Agenda 21 was also published. Then there were some forest principle as well. There were also non legally binding documents on the conservation and sustainable development of all type of forest. So you have to keep in mind that we had three documents after this conference in 1992: the Rio Declaration, Agenda 21, and the Forest Principle. Let's talk more about this Agenda 21. So, as we know, it adopted in 1992, and it is a comprehensive plan of action to be taken by globally, nationally, or locally by the organization of the United Nations system, the governments, or major groups in every area in which human impact on the environment. So the aim of this agenda were, it aimed at achieving global sustainable development. Exactly. Then agenda was to combat environmental damage, poverty, and diseases, because these poverty and diseases also related to the quality of the life. And the if the quality of life is not good, then we can't say that we are developing, we are just growing. Okay, so the agenda was also to combat environmental damage, poverty, or the disease. It can be achieved through global cooperation on common interests, mutual needs, and the shared responsibilities. After that, because this agenda has been come up in 1992, then in 2002, there was like MDG, Millennium Development Goal, came across, and this was related to also the sustainable development. Okay, so this has been established in the summit of the United Nations in 2000, and we also know, we will see that SDG, that is the Sustainable Development Goals, that replaced these MDGs. So these were the 8 MDGs that has been replaced right now with SDGs. Okay, so let's talk about the Sustainable Development Goals. So these are also known as the global goals. This has been adapted uh, in 2015 as the universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030 all people enjoy peace and prosperity. Okay, and there were 17 sustainable development goals. What were these? These were like there should be no poverty in the country, there should be zero hunger, then good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation. So can you see that every type of every type of actions has been taken to get the sustainable development. Okay, so and this is not only based on the industrialization, but this is also related to the well-being of the human or the quality of the life, and quality of life can be improved by these goals. Okay, so these were the 17 goals. Then country have committed to prioritize progress for those who are furthest behind. Okay, so the countries that are lagging behind, that are underdeveloped, so the progress in that area should be prioritized. Okay, these are designed to end poverty, hunger, AIDS, and discrimination against women and girls. The creativities, know-how, the technology, and the financial resources from all the society is necessary to achieve these goals in every context. Okay. Then we already know that what's the difference between growth and development. So if we are talking about growth, then this is the increase in the size or the level of output. But if there is a development, then this is the process by which economic well-being and the quality of nation, region, or the local community are improved. So yes, the improved word is very important here, according to the targeted uh, goals and the objectives. Okay. In case production is available to people to improve their life, this is the development. But yes, if a country has high GDP but very low education level, then this is the rich country, but not the developed country. Okay, and you people know that whenever there is a whenever there is a rich country, then this country is also the developed one. Yes, Kuldeep.
Ma'am, what are the examples of these countries who have high GDP but low education level?
I can't I don't know exactly what are these countries. Danish, do you know about such countries?
Ma'am, there are some Gulf countries as well where the like GDP is very high, but the literacy rate is very low. So
Like
I
Kuwait, Bahrain, right?
uh something like that. The main reason behind this is they are
Mhm.
importing the workforce from different countries, and they are working for the like imported emissions. Like an engineer who is working in Bahrain is earning in like the currency of Bahrain, and he is giving some taxes to Bahrain government. So, so we can say that the engineer who is working in a particular company, the company is like earning, like commercializing, and hence increasing. The government is also taking taxes from them. So I think this is the reason, primary reason I say.
Okay. What do you want to say?
Ma'am, I was just giving the example.
Okay. So
Qatar,
what's the example?
ma'am, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait.
Mostly the Gulf countries are doing this. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait. Uh,
Okay. Okay. I don't have much knowledge about that. The countries that have high GDP but low education rate. But yes, it is like if you are saying that the Gulf countries having this kind of system, I accept it. Okay. Then yes, there is as you people told me that there is a conditions, there is a some relationship as well between the economic growth and development. So the three scenarios can be here. The first is there may be the economic growth but without the development, and the example can be India itself, right? So GDP, we are focusing on the GDP, but we are not seeing how much like air we are polluting, how much water we are polluting. So we are doing just the economic growth but without the development. Yeah, we are doing something toward the development. The pace of development is very low in the case of India. Okay. Then the second scenarios can be the development without economic growth. So these are some European country, if I'm not incorrect. So where there is a development, they are more focusing on the development, on the quality of the life, but they are not focusing on the economic growth. And if you know, right now in the European country, mostly the GDP is very low in every country, because in the developing countries such as India or China, the GDP is very high, but in the European it is very low. And because they already have done the economic growth in the past, and right now they are more focusing on the development. Okay. So these are the countries that have the development but without the economic growth. Then we also have we have the third scenario, where there is the economic growth with development. So can you give me example of that? Economic growth with development, which type of countries can be considered into that criteria?
Yes, ma'am.
US,
Ma'am,
Japan.
Nordic countries.
Yes, Japan is one of that country where the development and economic growth is going hand by hand. Even the China, I think, they are also focusing on the development right now.
Ma'am,
Yes,
Norway, Sweden, Finland, Switzerland, Denmark.
Ma'am,
These countries,
yes.
States,
the whole Europe.
Japan,
Yeah.
China. These are
Okay. Uh,
developed.
okay. So, uh, how many countries you know by name?
Ma'am, about 50.
Danish, you?
Ma'am, around something like that, between 35 to like 45.
Ma'am,
Okay.
he knows 50.
Okay, what are the countries through which the equator is crossed? Tell me the 11 countries if you know.
Um, Ma'am, Brazil. I don't know the 11, but I can try.
Okay.
Ma'am, Brazil,
Uh-huh.
uh, Ecuador,
Okay.
um, then Ghana. I
Okay.
don't know. DRC,
Cambodia,
Ethiopia. I guess I don't know about it.
Uganda,
Uh,
okay.
Ma'am,
China, Vietnam.
Maldives, Somalia, Kenya, Congo.
हाँ
Yes.
देखो देखो
There are like Indonesia, Kenya, Colombia, Uganda, so many countries. Yes, you people know about it because like when I was preparing for, I told you, I was preparing for CDS. So this kind of questions uh, comes in that exam, like which of the countries, like there are so many name of the countries and in which country the tropic of Cancer, or let's say the equator passes through. So you must know because you people are from geography and you can learn it very quickly. Okay. So the next is Human Development Index, HDI. So we are right now focusing on the development. So the one of the index that measures the development that has been happening within the human population is the Human Development Index, in which we take into consider three parameters. The one is life expectancy, the second is average education, and the third is the standard of living or the economic factor. So based on that factor, we give some ratio, and we also give some kind of number or the index. Based on that, we can assess which country have the highest development rate and which country have the lowest in Human Development Index. So what's the rank of India in HDI? Can anyone tell me?
137.
132.
37.
137. And what's on the first rank?
Ma'am, don't know.
It must be the European country.
Ma'am, I think it is one of the Nordic country, Scandinavian country,
Not
like
the,
Norway, Sweden, Finland,
yes,
Denmark, I guess.
yes, I think it was Denmark or Switzerland. I don't know the exact, but yes, it was
Is
like,
it like Finland?
yes, it may be. Okay.
Because Finland is
Yes.
known as like a country of happiness and joy.
Also that Norway.
Norway and Finland. There is a confusion.
Yes. So based on that, also we can categorize ourselves in that economic growth without development because our rank is very low, right?
Ma'am, it is Norway. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then I got this screenshot from the Human Development Report, UNDP, that is Development Program of the United Nations. So in which we can see here we have India, and the value of HDI in India is 0.458, and it start from 0 to 1, I think. Yes, it starts from 0 to 1, and we are here 0.458. And because it is based on three criteria: the life expectancy at birth, and the expected year of schooling, means education level, then the mean year of schooling, and the GDP, or the growth gross national income per capita. So we here can see the expected year of schooling is 8.1 years. The mean year of schooling is 3.3 years. It is very worst case. Then we have the life expectancy at birth. It is 60.6 year, and based on that, there is an index. And yes, we are at the 132nd 132nd rank within the United Nations. Okay. Okay. So because we are focusing on the sustainable development, and if we are doing the unsustainable development, so what will be the consequences? Though, so here is the list of the impacts of unsustainable development. Either it is the overconsumption, habitat destruction, desertification. I think you people know about it already. It is the ocean acidification, ozone depletion, the change in biogeochemical cycle, the loss of biodiversity and extinction, and all this. And the main important is the climate change, because if the climate change becomes irreversible, then every economic growth will be happened in a negative way. So you have to keep in mind, because there are a very negative impact of unsustainable development, so you must focus on the sustainable development. Okay, then we have two concepts in the sustainable development. The first is the concept of needs. Okay, so the essential need of the world's poor, to which overriding priority should be given. Okay, and the second idea is the idea of limitation imposed by the state of technology and social organization on the environmental ability to meet present and the future need. Means, whenever there is a need of the world poor, that should be the first priority to be taken care of. The second is, there must be some limitation on the environment ability, because we can't exploit the environment ability. There must be some kind of limits by which we can exploit, or we can use the environmental or the natural resources. Okay, so these are the two concepts. Now we have three pillar of sustainability. The sustainable development can be happened if these pillars, social, economic, and environmental, are in the balance. Okay, so if they are in the balance, then we will say that yes, the nation is going towards the sustainability. And if any of the pillar is leading to the imbalance, then that country or the nation will not going towards the sustainability. They have to take care of that particular pillar to stand and to become equal to the another pillar. Okay, so these are the three pillar of sustainability: social, economic, and the environmental. If we are making the money, but we have to consider the environmental impacts as well. We have to consider the environment that we are polluting or the contaminating. If there is a balance between these three, then this is known as the triple bottom line. Okay, so this will be the kind of like the true or the perfect sustainability we will get. So if we talk about the environmental sustainability, economic, and the social sustainability, so how we can achieve this? So there are some points we have. So the first is ecosystem services. This ecosystem services, whatever we get, this will be in the balance. Okay, then we must focus on the green engineering or the chemistry, but not towards the economic growth. Then we must care of the air quality, water quality, and should reduce the stressor like pollution or the greenhouse gases, and the resources integrity by minimizing waste generation to prevent accidental release in the future. So in the sustainability, the one of the important point is that we must not get the waste in such a way that we are just dumping it, we are releasing it the environment. So we have to control the waste generation, and we have to minimize it. Okay, because if there is something happening in the future, there is the like if we are dumping something, the waste in the soil, so it may be happen that the gas can be released out, and this can impact the environment as well as the human in very negative way. Okay, so these are the environmental sustainability. Economic sustainability, we must have jobs. Okay, if the country have a lack of jobs, then we can say that this country is not going towards the sustainability. Okay, so the job security is also one of the important point. Then the incentivization of the sustainable practice, just like if a company is producing the solar panel or something related to renewable energy power generation, then that should be given the subsidy. Okay, so this kind of things can be happen. For example, we should give the tax in case we are polluting the air or polluting the water. Okay, or the industry should be punished. Okay, so such kind of practices should be happened if we want the economic sustainability. Market practices for the sustainability, then natural resource accounting. This is one of the important life cycle cost assessment. For example, you are producing a polythene or the plastic bag, then we have to consider the cost of its whole life. For example, for the production of plastic is just, let's say, 2 rupees, but after that production it goes to the customer, and after going to the customer, like it will be it will not be the degradable one. Okay, so it will pollute the soil, it can pollute the environment. If we burn it, a very dangerous gases can be released from it. So this can give the disease to the person. So what will be the cost of treating that disease? Okay, so such kind of things can be considered into this economic sustainability. So we have to consider the life cycle cost assessment as well. Based on that, we can reduce the production of such kind of products that has a very high life cycle cost. Okay, then the cost structure to reduce risk and promote new technologies. If we are talking about the social sustainability, then the environmental justice and the empowerment of communities burdened by the pollution, this should be avoided. And there should be a justice. And then the protection, sustenance, and the improvement of human health, increasing participation of stakeholders, education about sustainability, protection, maintenance, and access to resources, promotion of sustainability. So these are different ways. I just read about it. So these are different ways through which we can attain these kind of environmental, economic, and social sustainability. And if we are attaining these sustainability, then we are achieving the triple bottom line as well. Then we have two type of sustainability, like it is based on the approach of the human. So we have weak sustainability and we also have the strong sustainability. So in the weak sustainability, what human thinks that we can like if we are exploiting the natural resources, then we are generating some capital out of it. Okay, and if we are generating that capital, then it is okay. Okay, so this is kind of approach that is within this weak sustainability. But in the strong sustainability, we are creating the differentiation between the capital that we get after the exploitation of the natural resources and the after the conservation of natural resources. So there is some kind of differences that the human thinks. So that's the strong sustainability. So let me read about it. So, in the weak sustainability, it assumes that natural capital and manufactured capital are essentially substitutable. Okay, so this can be substitute. Okay, it considered that there is no essential difference between the kind of well-being they generate. So whatever the natural capital we have, and so there is no any difference between the natural capital and the manufactured capital. So this is the approach of the weak sustainability. The only thing that matter is the total value of the aggregate stock of capital that should be at least maintained or ideally increased for the sake of the future generation. So this weak sustainability thinks that if we are creating some stock of capital out of this natural capital and converting into the manufactured capital, then it is okay. Then in such a perspective, it doesn't matter whether the current generation use of non-renewable resources or dump carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, as long as enough machinery, roads, and ports are built in the compensation. So this is kind of perspective is in the weak sustainability. Then we have the strong sustainability. It assumes that natural capital and manufactured capital are non-substitutable. Means these can't be replaced with one another, and consider that there is a difference between the kind of well-being they generate, and both natural and the manufactured capital need to be at least maintain or ideally increase for the sake of future generations. So it is not that the only manufactured capital should be increased, but the natural capital should also be increased. So this is kind of the strong sustainability. Now we have some questions that you will solve. The first question is, according to Malthusian model, which one is the correct? Kuldeep, can you see? Uh, yes. Kuldeep, Danish. Yes, Danish.
Population grows in geometric progression and food supply increases in arithmetic progression.
Yes, exactly. So, which of the option is
3.
One.
one? Because food supply increase in the arithmetic means 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, but population grows in geometric progression means 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8 in such a way. Okay, so this was according to the Malthusian model. The next is logistic growth equation curve is which kind of?
S-shaped.
Yes, it is. Which of these is not a pillar of sustainability?
Transboundary sustainable.
Oh my God, you people know about it. Good. Then, which of these is commonly observed during humanizing of nature?
Possibilism.
Possibly is. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. Which of these is not observed in primitive societies?
Possibilism.
Possibly is. Okay. Which of these is a preventive check according to Malthus? Foresight, wise, misery, food.
Food.
Food?
No, no.
Oh, it's misery.
It's the foresight. Preventive is like you are not growing the population in such a way that there will be a imbalance. You are just preventing the population growth. So so misery is like there is already the higher population growth. In the food there is again the scarcity of food supply, but in the foresight is you are just seeing in the future that in the future there may be problem if there is a higher number of people. So in that case, if one is judging according to the future, okay, seeing the future, so this is the foresight, so this is the preventive check, and all these wise, misery and food are the positive checks or the natural checks. Okay, then this one, which of these is a positive check according to Malthus? Kuldeep, Danish, can you guess?
Late marriage.
No, positive check.
Celibacy.
No, ma'am.
Which one?
War.
Ma'am, celibacy.
This is war.
War.
Okay, okay. Let me again explain what's the difference between positive, natural, and the preventive. Preventive check is like if the condition is preventing in such a way that there will be a no imbalance between population and the food scarcity. Okay, so this has to be taken care before any kind of explosion or before any kind of natural or the positive check. Suppose if we are delaying the marriage, then after delaying the marriage there will be very low population growth rate. Because there will be low population growth, there will be low food supply, then this can be manageable. So this is kind of the preventive checks. But in the positive or natural checks, our nature can take the revenge, such like the COVID, such like the war, such like the famine, such like the epidemics. So these kind of conditions can be happen if we are not taking the preventive checks, or if there is like no another kind of checks. So the nature will come and will destroy everything or reduce the population growth rate. Okay, so in this positive check, is the war. Okay, war can reduce the population in the in high number. Okay, which of these is the pillar of sustainability?
Social
Social.
sustainability.
Social, exactly. The demographic transition sees a society moves from. So there
Ma'am,
was, yes.
Ma'am, third, high birth rate,
high
high
birth
death
rate, high death rate to low birth rate, low
and
death
low
rate.
Okay, yes, this is right. The next question we have, the book and essay on the principle of population was written by
Malthus.
Malthus, because we only talked about Malthus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this was all about the today's session. We have finished it on time. Okay, so any query, anything?
Ma'am, I have two queries, not
Yes.
regarding to this particular topic.
Okay.
Ma'am, a test was held in my geography class. So
Okay.
there, it was in like MCQ question, and I have two like confusion. Ma'am, the first one is about the keystone species. So, ma'am,
Okay.
the question they are like, which one of the following is a keystone species? And the options are earthworm, bees, ants, and sea otter. Ma'am, what will be the
Bees.
answer?
Bees should
Bees.
be, bees should be.
Ma'am, I marked bees on that, but
Uh-huh.
our teacher told, like, I gave the explanation of bees. Bees are like help in pollination. They make they make wax. They produce honey. Like they are like helping in balancing the nature. But
Yes.
some of the students like take earthworm, and sir told that majority have given the earthworm, so I am going with earthworm because earthworm lives in soil and they till the soil, they make the soil fertile. They are the primary keystone. But in the question there was not mentioned what were the primary like keystone. So I was very much confused about it.
So these two are definitely the keystone because yes, art form helps in the pillaging, in like degradation of many things. So obviously these two are the keystone species, and and the problem is there should not be the comparison between these two types.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am, that's
because the trophic level is very different of the bees and even of the earthworm. So there should not be the comparison, and there should not be such kind of option in my view.
yes, ma'am. So
Ma'am,
I
I
think
think
correct.
correct answer should be bees because these affects directly and earthworms helps to retain the fertility.
No, see, Kuldeep, both species are helping in maintaining the different type of services and the functions. So there is no any doubt between it. But the problem is the trophic level is very different. The ecosystem level is very different in which they are thriving or surviving. So in the microorganism, these earthworm can be very helpful and that can maintain the functioning. But in these are very different. Danish, you are saying something?
No, ma'am, sorry, my mind.
Okay, okay. So obviously these two are incomparable, but yeah, both are the keystone species.
Okay, ma'am. And the another question is, what is the primary cause of deforestation? In that we have an option like urbanization, agriculture, volcanic eruption, and one is like one is not.
Agriculture.
Huh, I told urbanization, agriculture, volcanic
Mhm.
eruption, and one is something like a tsunami.
Okay,
Agriculture is
so this tsunami and the volcanic eruption is out of our interest. Our
Hmm.
interest lies in the urbanization and agriculture, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, I will go with this agriculture. right?
Yes, ma'am. Agriculture.
But there are some conditions, like if there is an urban area, and in urban area you know that if there is a kind of forest, then obviously the forest will be cut to expand the urbanization. But if this kind of forests are in like rural areas or like some rugged area, then this kind of forestation will be done due to the agriculture. But right now we have the need of food supply, so I will go with the agriculture.
But ma'am, the primary reason for this, it will be population. If it is not given in the option, so population leads to urbanization, and
Yes, exactly.
urbanization, if a town is like a small, there is a small town, suddenly the population increases and shifted to the urban city, leads to it urbanization. Then the town may be expand and taking up all the agricultural lands, then the agricultural lands are taking the forest land. So ma'am, the primary reason, it will be the population, but it is not mentioned, so it leads to urbanization, so the answer will be urbanization.
No, I think we have to like whenever you see the scenario of why this forest has been cutting in the past, so we will see that the expansion of agriculture is being dominating for this kind of deforestation.
Okay ma'am.
Yes. If any other questions, Pradeep?
No ma'am.